Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Kyle Quinn behind the glass. You guys with us. 215-592-9494. A lot to do. Big day at WIP. Spike Eskin joins us officially.
He finally comes to work.
He's coming home. Afternoon show, 2 o'clock with Spike and Ike and Jack. We'll get to all that. Phillies win. We'll start there. Tomorrow night, we got a big one here in Philadelphia. Obviously, the Flyers have a chance tonight, and we're just a little over a week from the NFL draft. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philadelphia. Hey, listen, just because you buy a woman a drink, that doesn't mean y'all date. Just want to put that out there. You know, this weekend's coming up. A lot of guys are going to be out.
Weather's nicer.
They're going to be buying women drinks. And, you know, just because you buy a drink doesn't mean, you know, y'all date now. So just remember that.
You know what? I'm glad you that's the Daily Douglas said. Just because something doesn't mean something else, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not always a correlation between these things. And I have to say there's a correlation, I think, in a lot of people's minds that the Phillies have a good lineup because of the names they have in the lineup, right? You think a lineup that has Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner and Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos would be a good lineup. It's not. Look, it's a good win last night. There was an awesome ending. Christian Pache, I felt good for him last night, getting that hit.
The game found him, and he came up big. You know, I was a little nervous. I don't know, because it's weird because now watching baseball, and we've talked about so many different moments that early in this season that have not worked out. When Pache was up, and I saw that, I thought about you and thinking about how the game finds different players.
You.
And he came up big. I'm happy for him. That was big for him, man. And that catch that Harper had, that was phenomenal.
Look, last night they won a nail-biter, and they're finding ways to win some of these nail-biters and holding themselves above water, even though the offense hasn't done anything so far this season. The pitching has been brilliant. Nola, again last night. We're watching one of the best starting rotations in baseball, and I really like this bullpen. So the pitching is phenomenal so far for the Phillies. But the more I watch this team, the more I don't think we have a good lineup. I really don't. Now, they have names. They have guys that have had some success in the major leagues. Obviously, Bryce Harper's a 2-time MVP. Trey Turner earned a $300 million contract. Schwarber is as good of a slugger, a home run slugger, that you're going to find. But overall, I don't think this is a good lineup. We're 17 games in. They're averaging 3.5 runs a game. And I'm just going to take big picture things. They strike out a lot. They don't walk much. They don't hit for power. I mean, if I tell you that about a team, you think, well, they're probably not a very good lineup. I'm looking at a lineup right now that has one guy every night they play that shouldn't really play, and that's that's Rojas. Right? So you have one spot that's a 0. Then you have Castellanos, who's just become a 0. I mean, he's the same as Rojas, basically. They're just total zeros. You have 2 total zeros. And then look at the rest of the lineup. It's way closer to average, most of these guys, than I think we want to admit. We love them. They've been clutch in the postseason, but Bryce's stat is closer to average than really great. Alec Boehm's closer to average than he is really great. Harper is excellent, but he has not gotten off to a good start. Trey should be good, and he's been pretty good. And Schwarber, we know what he is. I just don't think this is a really good lineup. But the way I look at it, so I've stopped hoping and dreaming on the offense to explode here. Hugh, the way I look at it is this is a very average lineup that's going to need a bat during the season. Do you still think they have a good lineup?
I still think they have a good lineup. And I know, everything that you're saying is true. But we're, 17 games into the season right now?
9-8.
Yes, and it's kind of – I look at it I think they're in better position than they were last year around this time, if I'm not mistaken. They're above 500, and the power isn't there, but the power's coming. The power's coming. I think the saving grace for this team this year, though, has been, and you cannot deny it, has been the pitching. If this pitching hasn't come around, or if this pitching wasn't coming around like it is, we'd be in a bad situation. The thing that stands out to me is 11 games with this team and this lineup, and they haven't scored over 5 runs in 11 games this season. You know, you're talking about –
remarkable.
Yeah, you're talking about 17 games in. We have to do better with that. But this is kind of – the route that this team is taking. Now, I think the biggest thing that people are dealing with right now is that it's the same old thing as it's been the last couple of seasons. But this year we've gotten a lot more lip service, and the actions have not been any different than they were in the past. And that's the most frustrating thing about it.
Well, it is, and I don't see it changing much. 215-592-9494. Look, if I had told you 3 weeks ago when this thing started that Trey Turner would hit about 300 for the first 17 games, which is at 299, and Brandon Marsh would get off to a great start, I think you'd say, wow, those are two things I didn't know if they were going to happen. Right? Trey's hitting about 300 to start the year. That's better than last year. And Marsh is taking a leap, and yet they're still averaging 3.5 runs a game. I think we've overrated the lineup. I think they're closer to average. Now, look, I'm not panicking about the season because I think this is now a pitching team. And it's just different than maybe we thought of it 2 years ago, different than it was 2 years ago. It kind of reminds me, Hugh, when they had the great teams with Rollins and Utley and Howard, in 07, 08, they were a big offensive team, right? Mm-hmm. They hit, their bats carried them to the division title in 07. Their bats carried them mostly to the World Series in 08, along with Cole Hamels and Brad Lidge. But then as the years moved on, right, those players got a little older. They weren't quite as great as they were. They got more injured, and it became a pitching team with Halladay and Lee. That's what I feel is we're a pitching team now. Like, it's weird because we have all these bats they paid a lot of money for. I just don't think this is a very good offense. I think at some point they're going to be desperate to go get a bat, but I don't know. I've stopped holding my breath they're going to score. Last night they faced some guy named Cal Quantrill. I remember watching his dad, Paul. Paul Quantrill is better than his kid. This guy can't pitch. They couldn't hit him.
Man, Cal Quantrill, he pitched pretty good last night.
Because he faced us.
He pitched pretty good last night. And you can see, the thing that I see is like Bryce Harper's hitting like 197 right now. Yeah. He's clearly frustrated.
Of course.
But I think that this team is going to get better. They're going to start hitting. And when they do, it's going to be phenomenal. But to your point, it's one of those things where I think the expectations are so high and we've gotten so much lip service. That's the most frustrating thing about it is that we're off to basically the same start that we had last year.
Yeah, well, they are. I mean, they are. And here's and you said it, the saving grace is the pitching. So last year they had one stretch of 17 games where they scored this few runs, right? They had only one stretch last year where their offense was this bad all last season. They went 5-12 in those 17. Like, they went 9-8 this year. That tells you the pitching is saving them right now.
Yeah. And another thing, like last night when you talk about what they had runners in scoring position. 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position last night. That's not good either. You got to take advantage of those situations. That's one of the most egregious things they did. I don't know what it is for the whole season, but it's been a lot of games that I've seen where they've had runners in scoring position and they couldn't bring them home.
It's over and over. I mean, and look, it's almost like in football. You know, if you're a team that has penalties like strikeouts, or you don't make the big play like not hitting home runs, it's just tough to score. It's tough to single your way to victories here. You know, last week Rob Thompson said they were going to slug. And last night he said, look, they're finding ways until this offense comes around.
We're finding ways to win. You know, we're getting great pitching. Hopefully that keeps going. And then once our offense gets going, then we're going to be just fine. But right now we're grinding and we're finding ways to win. So that's a good sign.
So, look, I don't want to make it sound like I think they're going to score 3.5 runs a game all year. They will be better than this. Bryce Harper is better than this, right? He's going to hit more than this. But other than Bryce Harper, is there anyone that you're like positive is going to be way better than they are right now? Schwarber's hitting 230. He'll hit for some more power, but, you know, it's Schwarber.
Bryson
Stott, okay. And I think he's actually hit the ball well.
He just hasn't hit it hard.
And it's gotten caught when he has. Like, he's hit into some bad luck. All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you Stott. Bryce, certainly. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath and turn blue in the face till Castellanos starts to hit. He almost swung at a pitch 4 feet outside last night.
No.
4 feet.
No, when you show that video.
Oh my God,
boy, that was. I didn't even know what to say behind that. That was a bad swing.
Major league.
It was she checked it though, but
I know.
Was a bad
but
swing.
it's the idea that he might not.
Those things come kind of fast though.
Oh, stop. He's a pro. All right, 215-592-9490. But let's start here with the offense. It's a good win last night. Any win's a good win, I mean, especially when you don't hit. And the pitching has saved them the entire season. Finally, Nola had some more velocity with some better weather last night. So I feel great about the pitching. But this offense has stunk so far.